If you have any questions throughout the presentation, type them in using the chat feature in the lower left-hand screen. In addition, we'll open up the line for discussion at the end of the webinar and make sure all questions that are asked are addressed. It is my pleasure today to introduce Dave DeFried. Dave is the Manager of Customer Programs at Duquesne Light Company and is responsible for implementation of Watt Choices Act 129 programs. Duquesne Light's Watt Choices program helps customers conserve energy and reduce demand while lowering their electricity costs. Watt Choices invites residential, commercial, and industrial customers to take advantage of a wide range of energy efficiency, conservation, and demand response measures. By participating in these programs, customers learn ways to conserve energy and reduce demand. Dave graduated from Robert Morris University with an MBA and has been in the energy efficiency and conservation field for over 17 years. Finally, the PowerPoint presentation will be sent out after today's webinar. It's my pleasure to introduce Dave. Dave?
Joyce, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I do appreciate you taking the time to participate in this webinar. And before we get started, we'd like to start with just a quick safety message. And that is, as we've been experiencing with our climate so far with the last couple of weeks with weather changing day to day, my safety message on this would be just look for changes in weather for driving. Oftentimes it's been windy around here and things have been blowing on the road, and it's just to be much more cautious as you're driving because of just changes in weather, slippery conditions. And with the weather being so warm, also just be aware that kids can be out on the street and they could be kind of darting in and out of parked vehicles. So just take that extra special time as we start advancing towards spring to just be more alert as we drive on the roadways. So again, thanks for joining us. As you can see up on the slide, the contents for today's webinar. I just wanted to give just a brief kind of purpose of what the webinar is for, to kind of set some expectations. So we want to provide a high-level update on the program for those that weren't able to join us back in mid-October. Also to update folks on what we've done in the last 4.5 months as we started to ramp up and launch the program, and give some program updates and some lessons learned, and then to talk through your questions and let you know how to get a hold of us. So with that, we're going to jump right into the next slide. Shows the Duquesne Light service territory. Again, for those that may not be familiar, Duquesne Light serves Allegheny and Beaver counties. And as you can see by the slide, we have most of Allegheny and most of Beaver, but there are some areas that are outside of our service territory. And just briefly, we have approximately 590,000 customers, and approximately 89% of those are residential. And I'm not going to bore you with the service territory and square miles and everything else like that. But as we talk about the multifamily retrofit program, one thing to remember is that in order to participate, the property must be in the Duquesne Light service territory. And we'll go through some of the scenarios as we get further along into the presentation. So if we advance to the next slide, you'll see that we have the multifamily, what we're calling the multifamily market manager model. And we designed this process for Duquesne Light back in phase 2 when we started looking at multifamily and different areas and how we approach it. And it's a similar model that we use for our public agency partnership within our Act 129 energy efficiency programs. And we find that it works really well. And the market manager can be a conservation service provider. It could also be external entities, or it can be managed by Duquesne Light itself. And in this case right now for our multifamily retrofit program, Duquesne Light is acting as the market manager. So I administer this program on behalf of Duquesne Light under energy efficiency. And as you can see by the arrows that it's broken out into different development and services around projects. So things such as energy audits, negotiating project agreements, looking at cost effectiveness, how we can integrate funding sources to try to get the maximum dollars into a project on behalf of the property manager or developer or owner. And then other services can include bulk purchasing. So as we see all the properties coming in, it's possible for us to say, hey, we're going to look at this lighting retrofit. How can we bundle this and bulk purchase this to get the best price possible? Again, to help us save on our ratepayer dollars, but maximize program dollars to get them into the hands of the developers and property owners to get more projects done. In addition to negotiating performance contracts and helping procure construction services should a property owner or manager need those services. As we advance forward with program description, as you'll see on the next slide here, that it's broken up into several categories. And so when we looked at the design of multifamily, and as I stated, we actually started a multifamily program while it was not formalized in phase 1. We advanced it in phase 2, and we worked really closely through our public agency partnership program within our portfolio of projects and programs. And what that means for us is we look at the public entities within our service territory. So we could be working with public housing agencies, agencies such as the PHFA, and other entities that have properties that might participate in any of our programs, but particularly into a multifamily piece. We also then look at, under our multifamily retrofit program, we have assigned prescriptive measures for projects. So it kind of gives us a cookie-cutter approach to go in and look at what a property needs and look at the basic items that we can put in that we know most properties might want. And then, of course, we can expand on that to see and make it tailored to what individual projects or properties might need. So we don't want to say it's a one-size-fits-all, but we know based on our experience in the last 7.5 years that properties may need some sort of lighting and what that might be. And so we can try to take that off the table, make it prescriptive to the degree possible, and get those measures put in kind of with ease. And then we look at the direct install projects, and those projects that might need a little bit more deeper dive, more, I don't want to say hand-holding, but kind of like a more complete one-stop shop of service. So there might be property developments that have maintenance departments or divisions that can handle some of the project installs, but there might be other ones that won't. And so we can come there and help be from beginning to end with that project. So look at what's needed as an audit stage, help identify what needs to be installed, help identify contractors. We can bring contractors to the table. We can also then look and evaluate it to make sure we're meeting the guidelines under our Act 129 plan, as well as the needs of our customer or the property owner and manager. And then look at quality control at the end of the day to make sure that savings are achievable, that they were installed properly, and that everything's working and satisfactory, and of course paying out a rebate. So it could be a one-stop shop. It could be parsed out for just what a department or a development needs. And again, some of those services, just to reiterate, because we think it's important that everybody understands that we can administer energy audits, we can provide technical assistance, we can help aggregate properties within our service territory. So if a developer or owner has several properties, we can look at how we aggregate those to get bulk purchasing, contract negotiations. So we're really open to help the needs of what our customer truly wants to obtain from our program. And we've left it flexible enough that we can meet the individual needs for each property should there be something that's different that we can look at it. And then basically what the market manager or what Duquesne Light will do is help to integrate funding to include, program and agency co-funding, performance contracting. We're going to help you identify grant funding and be able to provide the documentation and help you through the application process. And a piece that we want to just make sure that we mention is that there is no recipe. We're not making a batch of cookies that we can follow the same recipe each and every time for each and every developer and each and every property owner. Customers are different, properties are different, and so we look at each one on a case-by-case basis and bring to the table what's necessary to help advance that project forward. So we look at funding on a case-by-case basis, and we look at that based on several factors to see what that cost share is going to be. And it's if there's PHFA money available, if there's other grant money available, we're going to try to bring those to the table and help guide through that process of applications. Ability to pay, level or percentage of concentration of low-income participation within the development. So we look at several factors as we start coming up with what the cost share is on a case-by-case basis. But the nice thing about the way the process works is that our customer knows along the way what the expectation is, and at the end of the day, before they sign and agree to do any of the measures, they know and have a clear picture of what's the expectation from their involvement and what Duquesne Light is going to do. So we're very clear about that. And then as we go on, we're going to just move on to so that's the high level of where we were. For those that may not have been on the phone back in mid-October. So since that time, there's been a lot of activity within Duquesne Light and what we've done to advance the multifamily retrofit program. So we have designed and opened and launched our website. If you go to whatchoices.com and you click on For My Business, because our website is to be kind of set up for residential and commercial, and if in doing that, we want to try to make it as flexible as possible. So if you click on For My Business, and then on the left-hand side in the yellow navigation bar, you'll see there's a multifamily housing retrofit program. And you click on that, and there's a whole bunch of information that's out there. This is just a snapshot of what you'll see at the top, but it talks about the program, talks about how the rebates that are available and energy efficiency rebates for projects, how you get started, the contact information that's out there. We have phone contact, we have email contact, we have dedicated email contact to get to it, as well as eligibility, the different sectors that are out there, and the electric service that's available, because within our program at Duquesne Light, we have a master meter program and individually metered programs as well. And so we try to cover the whole gamut of master metered projects in the retrofit arena. And so whether it's master metered, we have a program for that. Individually metered, we have a program for that. So as long as you're looking at a retrofit project, you can fall under the multifamily program, and the website gives you a lot of that information. There's also terms and conditions. As we know, there would be no website would be complete without having terms and conditions. So in addition to the website, there's also an area there that you can click to download a brochure that was designed specifically for the program. It's a leave behind. So when we go out with property managers, we can provide them with this, gives them a lot of information, a lot of which what we just talked about, gives the contact information as well, and just some further information in a single front and back page, colored so they can, kind of readily find it, on their desks as well. And you can download it from the website as well. So that was designed probably around December of last year and put out there. In addition to the brochure, as we advance to the next slide, we've also designed an enrollment form. And Joyce, if you can advance that to the next slide. Are you gone? Okay, great, thank you. So, and the way the enrollment form works is it gives a little bit more information. It talks specifically about the property that we're looking at, and it provides some of the additional terms and conditions. It creates the expectation of what Duquesne Light's going to do, what the expectation of our partner, property owner or property manager will as we go through the process. But what's nice about this form is it's not an enrollment form at the very beginning. And it does identify a lot. It's 3 pages, and it's out there on the website as well that you'll be able to take a look at. I don't know if it's up yet, but it will be. We're working through our legal team to make sure it's finalized and ready to go out. But this is the form that we've designed and that we're using for folks to kind of get into the program, or once they're into the program. So we've given you a little bit of information about the program and the project and what we can do. We've talked about the new designs of where we are. So I think the biggest question that you're all wondering on the phone is, how do I participate? And if we can advance to the next slide, what do? So you initiate a request. It's that simple. You email me, email the dedicated number, or call me directly. Once we get that information, we're going to gather some information from you about the property. We're going to sit down and talk with you about it so we gain a deeper dive into the property. And then we're going to schedule an audit for you. We're going to go out and look at the qualifying properties. We're going to see what they have. We're going to start writing up kind of an action plan of what can happen. We're going to then come back when that's all done, and we're going to provide you the results so you know up front what it is that you're getting into. Now, here's what we think you can do. Here's what we're willing to give you as far as the prescriptive rebates or the direct installs, and here's a rebate amount that you can expect to get from that once as long as we get it installed as we agree upon. It's only at that point, if a customer kind of feels that they want to move forward with that, is that they will then sign and complete the enrollment form. And that's kind of our official acceptance of the audit, and that we can then move forward. Now, of course, customers can always tweak, yes, I don't want those measures, can I look at these measures? And we'll evaluate those based on the energy savings and based on any guidelines that were provided to us from the commission through our accepted plan or approved plan. And then at that point, the work begins. And we can then go ahead and get the work installed. And once that work begins, we're going to complete it, verify it, and then make sure everything's working okay. Property managers accept the work, it looks great, everything's fine. The rebates received. It's a fairly straightforward process, and I know I kind of brushed over that, but it seems to be working pretty well for us right now, leaving it as informal because folks are busy, and we know that you're busy, and we want to make sure that we're being responsive to your needs, but we also don't want to overburden you with a whole lot of information. And the information that we generally request are items and things that we would, that you would readily have. Drawings, designs, any engineering work that you might have done or are doing. And so we'll work with you to streamline that process as easy as possible. It's important to note here that if you're thinking about doing a project, then you might want to call us and get us to the table as early as possible. It does make the process flow a lot easier because of we're there at the beginning. We can guide you of what we can put a rebate for based on our approved plan and based on the savings estimates and the savings that we're expecting to get from it. It's easier to do that up front than to have to go back and try to recreate that. So if anybody on the phone is thinking about projects, you may want to reach out to us and let us know about those, and then we can kind of make that happen, sit down, talk to you about it, get it in the pipeline so we have those drawings up front and that we can kind of streamline it rather than have you go back and try to recreate something that you may not have thought about when you're starting your project. And just to reiterate that the project or the multifamily audit retrofit program is designed to help support retrofit projects within multifamilies, whether they're tenant paid or whether they're master metered. From a customer perspective, how Duquesne Light pays for that or where that comes from, what's rate category, doesn't really matter to the individual customer. They just want to know that I have a project, does it meet the requirements, and how can you help me with it? And so because our service territory is smaller and a little more compact, we like to take that more personalized approach and sit down and talk with our property managers about what their projects look like. And so we do a lot of upfront work to make sure that the end result is smooth transition when it comes to paying out the rebate. But again, we have master metered properties available, projects available, and we have tenant paid multifamily retrofit projects available as well. So we will cover most multifamily retrofit projects within our service territory. I think now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Tom. Tom is a person that works with us to help us through the project. He's going to update you on where the projects we brought in since we've spoken in November or October and where we are and the varying stages that they are. So, Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Good. So this slide shows the projects that we've engaged here in Phase 3 of Act 129. It started in June last year. We've done upwards of 90 projects before we started Phase 3, and so a lot of what we developed going forward is based on what we experienced with those first 90 projects. We have some 17 to 20 active sites right now. These are examples. I removed the customer names to protect them, but this will give you a description of the number of units, the number of low-income units, the savings is projected based on the surveys that were performed, the cost of the projects, and the utility incentives that will be made available. The total resource cost test scores in the far right-hand corner are a utility cost test that assesses the cost effectiveness to the utility compared to supply-side options. So these are cost-effective projects. They're with a total resource cost test ratio of greater than 1. I won't go into that anymore, hopefully. And then, so we have 7 projects currently moving. There are another a series of projects we're setting up surveys. We have some new construction projects we've been looking at. So I think we're pleased to see activity continuing in Phase 3 and becoming more developed, more defined. The projects we're seeing, on general per site in the last 90 projects or so, around 38,000 kWh per site. These are looking at about 42,000, so right about where we thought they would be savings-wise. And the surveys are discrete and tailored to the end uses in the units, whether there's electric space heating, gas space heating, electric water heating, et cetera. You know, we're going to tailor our dwelling unit treatments given the various end use saturations. This gives you a little picture of where we're at to date. The next slide, please.
I'm getting there, sorry.
This is just, you know, what we're seeing, what our lessons we've had so far. First of all, I think it's important as a multifamily housing retrofit program was designed as a retrofit program. As folks come forward with new construction projects, we'll try to provide them a seamless transition to kind of behind the scenes what programs, costs and benefits would, you know, where those costs and benefits would accrue to what program. One of the barriers to entry for the multifamily segment is just the vast array of different utility programs to pick from and choose from and different participation requirements. The multifamily housing retrofit program seeks to remove that barrier to entry and create a seamless transition where the participants aren't subject to that burden. We handle that. And so as new construction comes up, we'll map those to the proper programs and continue working with those property owners to move through the project phase. We've noticed some things on new construction as we've moved through the first few. Our requirements, our measurement requirements are fairly onerous on the part of the state requirements for Act 129. We have to comply with the Pennsylvania Technical Reference Manual. We have oversight from 3 different organizations provide oversight to the programs. So we're under pretty tough delivery when it comes to the projects documenting their savings. And for new construction, we find that some of the, with regard to weather-dependent savings for new construction, some of the modeling that gets done for tax credit purposes isn't quite up to the level of rigor that's required of us under Act 129 for our energy efficiency programs. And the expense of additional modeling has been something that folks object to. And so, you know, again, this is a retrofit program. We try to handle all the programs and be in a seamless way so not burden the customers with a program menagerie. But one of the things we're running into on the new construction side is the modeling issues. It seems that having to do with modeling every configuration and combination of unit configuration, we need to have energy and peak demand due to implementing the weather-sensitive measures to be a direct output of an accredited model, home energy ratings model software that meets the mortgage industry national home energy rating system standards. So those are some of the things we run into a little bit on new construction. We'll continue to work with participants and map them through to the programs that can handle the new construction. At this point, I'll push back to Dave and open this to questions.
If anyone has questions, you can mute by doing *6. Unmute by doing *7. Again, if you have questions. Actually, we have one. Are these projects all included in your low-income program or through regular C&I and residential programs?
So, good question. So the way we filed our plan, the multifamily retrofit was to target low-income properties. And so where we fall is if there's a breakdown in a category that there's not a measurable amount or significant amount of property, residential, low-income participation, then those rebates go to the commercial side. So it depends on where they fall. But as Tom was explaining, new construction falls under our normal C&I rebates if they're not eligible for the, as we've determined, they're not eligible for the multifamily, then the seamless transition is we will then take those and get those applied for within the regular C&I program. So our goal is to not automatically just remove a project and say it's not eligible. It's to try to find eligibility within either C&I or within our multifamily program. And multifamily is covered part of our C&I portfolio unless there's a tenant-paid aspect of it, and the tenant-paid portion is under our residential offerings.
Is there a follow-up? Thank you. Is there a follow-up question to that? Again, do *7 to unmute. Any other questions or comments for Dave? Okay, we want to move along?
Sure. So what we were looking at, just anticipating what the next steps are and what we're considering looking at. And so I know how sometimes folks don't want to ask questions or don't want to bring their projects up on the phone or in front of a webinar or in person amongst a big group. One thing we were looking at, and the question I'll ask of the group is, would you find it valuable if we scheduled a one-day session, 1 day, 2 day, depending on the participation level, for folks to bring their projects to us one-on-one individually, schedule 45 minutes to an hour session at a location to be determined, whether that's at the Housing Alliance offices or somewhere more central, where you could bring the specific projects and the paperwork. We could do the initial review. We could take those projects and start that ball rolling. And we were thinking about if that's something that the group would find valuable, whether or not we would want to try to look and work with the Housing Alliance to schedule that sometime in early April. So I'll open that up as a question back to the group of what it is that you, whether you would find that as valuable or not.
Again, to respond, do *7. It's a quiet group today.
It's the weather. So again, consider that as an option if you would like. You'll have my email address and contact information at the end of this. Duquesne Light is willing and is considering having that type of a day where we can sit down with individual owners or contractors, or you can bring your engineers or whoever to the table and talk through the project that you're thinking about or projects. Bring some of the paperwork. We would create a checklist to help you, assist it to make it most valuable. And we would also, if you didn't, we didn't want you to go through the expense of having to print out your documents, you can always send those in advance electronically. We would have them. It's kind of just like that. I don't want to use an inappropriate term, but kind of like an open house where you would schedule a time and come and sit with us, and it would be your time to discuss your projects, maybe your concerns, maybe some challenges you're facing, and then we can help you work through those with our engineers and our group of folks to be here as well, to make it as meaningful as possible. So again, if you find that to be valuable, you can email back to Joyce, email back to me, and we're willing to set that up. Should the group, or it doesn't have to be a majority of the group, but should individuals find it valuable, please let us know if that's something that you would find valuable to that. And Joyce, if you don't have any other questions, maybe I'll just ask another one of the group. So as you saw by this, we've only been really kind of boots on the ground for probably, I'd say, 3 months now. I mean, we met last time was 4.5 months ago. We've been developing some things and moving forward with it. We're not the experts of engaging you all and working through your needs and concerns. And as Joyce had sent out in the meeting invite to participate, we do want your feedback. We want to make sure that, as you know, or maybe you're not aware, Act 129 runs, this phase runs through May 31st of 2021. So we have some years to go, and we want to make sure that the foundation that we're building is something that is meaningful and something that you guys would want to participate in. So if there's feedback, things we should consider. Yes?
I'm going to unmute the line.
The conference has been unmuted.
That'll make it easier for folks if they want to comment.
Okay, great. Thank you. So just in saying that, I know that a lot of you have properties across multiple jurisdictions, not just in Pennsylvania. And if there's things that you found that work really well to streamline the process, we want to hear about them. Again, if you don't want to bring them up on the phone, please email them to me. Call me. We can set up some time to talk about them, because this program really is for you all. It's for you to get service within our service territory, get your projects in, get some rebates available, and by you participating in the program, you help Duquesne Light achieve its goals of energy conservation within our service territory.
Anybody have any questions?
Joyce, do you have any?
I don't. Nope, not right now.
And Joyce,
well, thanks everyone for. We appreciate everyone getting on the line today. We will be sending out the PowerPoint, and feel free to contact me or Dave, whose contact information you now have. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.